Welcome everyone to the newest episode of TheAgSpace. Let's get the intro rolling.
First name is Kaden, last name McCutcheon. First rate discussions, TheAgSpace, the podcast everybody's been bumping. We talking food production.
Oh man, do I have a video for you guys. I got to interview an ag ambassador who I think will grab everyone's attention. And I think he would also want to introduce himself. So,
What's going on, Alonso?
Alrighty, how are you?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Good, living the dream.
In the dream. Why don't you tell me about yourself?
I'm Alonso. I'm a second year college student at the San Jose Junior College. I'm studying natural resources. I was a part of Sebastopol FFA for 2 years. I was a part of Forestville FFA for another 2. I was that class that had to transfer from El Molino to Annalee. I was the Annalee or the Sebastopol FFA president for 2023, so my graduating year. Obviously now studying natural resources and at the junior college. I work at the college farm. I work on in the pasture and rotational grazing, and we do all that. And I also work for Doty and Grove Show Pigs, where we breed show pigs around Sonoma County, and we sell and whatnot. I'm a volunteer firefighter for Goldridge Fire District. That's kind of ties into what I want to do in the future. I want to do like fire mitigation with livestock and do grazing.
All right. So clearly have a rich history with agriculture. So,
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me when was your first experience in agriculture?
My first experience in agriculture goes back to my freshman year. I didn't have an ag teacher up until halfway into the year. Our ag teacher, we just didn't have an ag teacher to fill that spot, so we had a long-term sub, and that class was just it was something else because it was our substitute was a vegan teacher. And as you know, it doesn't really fit in the ag class. So we were watching a bunch of videos of how meat doesn't really do good for your blood or whatnot. It was crazy. But we eventually did get an ag teacher. She pushed a lot about. She really pushed her interest on other students. At first, I thought she was a cool teacher, but I kind of figured that I realized that she wasn't really for the best of the chapter. And then Mrs. Locke came in, who's still teaching at Sebastopol, and she really had a big impact on me. She, I think the moment I realized that I really wanted to be more into agriculture was when I submitted an assignment. It was a pretty big assignment, and she gave me full credit, and she wrote me a comment saying that she sees a lot of potential in me, and maybe I should apply to be an officer. And that was more in my sophomore year. But that really I was like, oh, maybe I should, and I did, and I got an officer position for West County.
All right, that's what kind of got your interest going in agriculture.
Yeah, was the teacher. Yeah,
All
she's
right.
yeah.
And now you're an ag ambassador, right?
I am. I'm the president.
Oh,
ag,
nice.
Ag ambassador.
And that's for the
San Jose Junior College.
Junior college.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So we're a student-led club at the JC. You can start your own club. We help a lot with, for example, Golden State Field Day. Here in Sonoma County, we have our own field day that we hold at the junior college or at the high school, depending on what contest you're taking. We also travel. This Friday, we're leaving at 6 a.m. to Cal Poly St. Louis Obispo to attend the Ag Ambassador State Conference. So we have our own conference where we have guest speakers and keynote speakers, and we go into different breakout rooms, and we talk about how we can engage the youth to follow a career in ag, basically, and we kind of just advocate.
Okay. All right, so it kind of just teaches you more how to advocate for the younger people.
Yeah, and it really gets you out there into those careers. For example, there's at the conference there'll be buses they'll take you to different industry tours. And you see where you kind of want to work. When we were at Chico, we went to their farm. They have a great college farm. It's ran by the students. I think actually one of a Tamales FFA members I think runs the farm, just super cool. So pretty local. But yeah, you really learn about what you want to do outside of college. Once you get that bachelor's or you get a master's or something, it really gets you out there and you meet a lot of people, which down further into your career, you're like, oh, I met you at the Ag Ambassador Conference. Yeah.
So it kind of helps you like get your future, together. Kind of like gets you like what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you guys also like host a lot of events for like the youth to try and
We
get them
do.
to do
Yeah,
stuff?
we try. We just had our fall fest at the Schoen Farms. Our garden crew works really hard year round in maintaining our garden, making sure that we have great produce. Like we had a pumpkin patch, we had a bunch of you pick apples, we had stuff like that, and it was a great event. We had like 2,000 people there.
Dang.
Yeah, so that was open to the public, and that was more like a Schoen Farm thing, not really much an ag ambassadors, but we helped set up. Schoen Farm is like our base, like our home, so we like to help out in any way we can. Cattlemen's dinners, and COLC is held at Schoen Farm. Unfortunately, it's not this year. It's in Mendocino College, but next year it'll be at Schoen Farm.
Oh yeah. Why wasn't it held this year?
They want to bounce back and forth just because of travel time for like the people in Crescent City and the people down in
That makes sense.
So they want the hour difference, I guess.
All right. So how big it really is like Schoen Farms? Like how many people live there on like dorms?
So there's 3 residents right now, and there's 365 acres, which is broken up into pasture, vineyard, garden, and forest, and the actual like barns and structures themselves. There's 2 female residents, and then there's 1 guy, and we're working really hard or the farm managers are working really hard in trying to get more housing there, because there's a lot of students who are coming from out of county. For example, my girlfriend applied; she's from out of county, and those kids. Luckily, the JC has dorms to accept those kids that if they don't make it into the Schoen Farms to live there, they can get accepted at the dorms. But we're working really hard into getting more residency options at the college farm, because it's a great place to live, work, and study.
Do you live there?
I do not.
No. Are there a lot of people that? So wait, is it like? Can you work there too, or is it just?
Yeah. So I started working there this summer off of a scholarship. They do like a scholarship where if you work a certain amount of hours, then you get the scholarship. I did that this summer, and then I kind of just got hired as a regular farm intern, but the garden crew is always pretty shorthanded. So they just had a hiring this past month. And there's my girlfriend applied. She works on the garden now, so it's really cool. She's working in the garden. I'm working in the pasture. Different people can apply. My friend Christian just started working in the wine cellar, so he's cleaning wine barrels and making wine. And yeah, almost if you're a college student, you can apply.
All right. What's like all the different different industries you can work at just at Schoen Farm?
Just at Schoen. So the first class I took at Schoen Farm was tractor class. It's called like ag mechanics something. It taught you how to not only drive the tractor, it showed you how to attach the implements, use the implements, when to use the implements, when to till or not to till. So ag mechanics and like tractor work is something you can learn about there, and hopefully maybe pursue that maybe in like ag mechanics or just in your own farm. When I took that class, there was a lot of people that were coming back into college because they had their own like homestead and they wanted to learn how to drive tractors and which implements were which and what to use. So that's a route you can do. So what I want to do is grazing, like land management and grazing. So working on the pasture crew, that's what we do. We do rotational grazing with the cattle and the sheep. We have cattle, sheep, and goats, and we just started lambing. So we have a baby there. I don't know what we have right now. I haven't been there since Friday, but you get so much knowledge in livestock and rotational grazing, and you gain so much knowledge in just like native plants and what like restoring natural habitats native to California. A lot of people don't understand or just don't. It's really looked over is natural resources, and agriculture is a part of agriculture, and I'm a big like advocate for that. As a natural resource major, and I had a background in livestock. That's something I really want people to know, that natural resources is a big part of agriculture. The forests and everything. So that's that. There's 2 kind of career options you can follow there, and then you can work in the garden and you learn a lot about horticulture and just garden and and different plants and whatnot. We offered that as like positions. In the summer, we had a utility line program where people come and join the utility line program, and they basically get certified in felling trees and working in bucket operations, like working for like a tree company. They learn how to climb and then cut and operate bucket trucks. They get paid. It's an internship. And then right now we have a WRP program, which what they do is they get certified in like doing like burn piles. They go out in the forest and they clear the trails. They cut the dead trees, whatever is not native, and they do burn piles. And then at the end they come out, and almost like 99.9% of the time they get hired by Sonoma County Regional Parks. So it's super cool.
Wow, that's really interesting. Would you say that you taking agricultural classes all 4 years of your high school probably led to you working at Stone Farms and taking classes there?
100%, because I wanted to be a firefighter at first. Like that's what I wanted to do. I hung around the department that I'm at since I was in 7th grade. I was like, this is what I want to do. I was around the fire trucks. I got my own gear super early. That's what I wanted to do. And then once I got into agriculture, like my freshman year to my junior year, I was still on wanting to be a firefighter, but I wanted to do something in agriculture. So that's when I thought about working for the Forest Service, the United States Department of Agriculture, the Forest Service, just because it kind of fit agriculture and fire. And then it was honestly when this year where I changed my major, I wanted to do land management and grazing. Just because I started working there, I'm like, I love chainsaws. The reason I got hired on there was because they were gonna put me. They were gonna just I have a firewood business, and I like chainsaws. I use chainsaws all the time, and that was the main reason why I got hired on this, because then I would help with my friends in the pasture crew, kind of clearing up brush using a chainsaw. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I can have cows and cut grass and whatnot, and I also use the machines that I like skid steers and all that, and chainsaws in that business. So 100% taking those ag classes led up into me taking or working at Shone, and then finding what I wanted to do at Shone.
All right. So what is your major, probably just achievements in FFA?
My major achievements in FFA.
Some of your keynotes.
I'm getting my American degree this next week.
That's
so going to Indy for the first time. I heard it's not. I don't know if have you been to Indy?
No, I haven't been yet.
Okay. I've heard that it's not as cool as state convention
Really?
here. Yeah, because not everybody's so hype. That's what I heard.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. Even though there's, probably like 10,
so many people.
Sorry, not 10, 100,000
Yeah,
kids, right? That's
yeah.
10 times more than state,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. My girlfriend was in FFA, and she was at Indy, and she told me that it's not as exciting, and nobody's like super like.
Really?
So that's the only thing I'm worried about.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but California FFA is hype.
Oh,
The
yeah.
convention is hype.
Super hype.
That is, I think, the top. But I didn't come from an ag background before high school, and I think there's so much. But I think the biggest accomplishment was getting feedback from adults and kids saying that I was a good role model. I led them correctly. Like just this Saturday, I had a parent tell me that I was like a really good role model, and the kids looked up to me while I was in president of Sebastopol. And to me, that felt really good, and just knowing that, and it made me feel really good. And I'm not gonna lie, that's your teacher, Miss Dale, right?
Ms. Dale.
She actually told me once that she actually made me cry, and that's she told me the same thing, and she just walked in. That's crazy. When we were in Fresno for state finals for public speaking, I did the Spanish Creed for public speaking, and I unfortunately didn't go into the final four or whatever. I was really upset, and she came over and gave me a hug and told me that because of me, a lot of people are interested in this competition, and it just broke me down. But it felt really, really good to hear that. So, yeah.
Wow.
It was
That's
crazy.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy timing.
Yeah.
So was that the only LDE you've done, or have you done?
I
multiple?
did. I didn't do many LDs. I did. I think I
A
just
lot
did
of CDs.
a lot of CDs. Yeah, I just did what is it? I feel old now, just a year out, but um, public speaking like with your opening and closing. Yeah, that's
Opening,
right.
closing.
Opening, closing. Spanish Creed. I think that was it. Yeah,
Really?
that was it. I did livestock judging and um, vine pruning for CDs. Um, I guess there's another one of my bigger accomplishments. That same week that we were in Fresno, I went down to compete for Spanish Creed, and then we had a day off, and then the next day would have been vine pruning. No, it would be vine pruning and livestock judging at the same time. And I was going kind of like I might be they might need a fourth person because somebody was not feeling too well. So I went down and I was going to stay for those 2 days in case they needed that fourth person. And after I finished my Spanish speaking and we were back at the hotel, we got word that I was going to be needed. So I had a day to practice livestock judging. Even I've done it before, but I wasn't the best. I had a day to practice livestock judging, and I guess I was just in my public speaking like element. So I guess I was doing pretty good in front of my teacher, and then when the day came, I missed 52. So it's like I didn't judge a class, so it wasn't terrible. So out of my group, I came out like the second.
Oh, that's.
So that was pretty cool. I was pretty
That's
impressed.
pretty good.
Yeah,
All right, kind of on the spot.
yeah.
You know, all right, that's pretty cool. Let's touch back to your American degree because that's like to
pretty
me
cool.
is like really impressive.
Mhm.
That's like my top goal.
Yeah.
That's like that's probably like my second highest goal in FFA. I would say.
I think the process has been made a lot easier now. I don't know exactly what they took out. I don't know if it's like the certain amount you have to spend on a SAE, or the hours, but I don't know. But they made it very easy, and I'm super blessed to have the ag teachers that I do, Mrs. Locke and Mrs. Mickelson and Courtney King, and right now it's Marion Powers. They're the teachers right now. Super helpful. Always put their students first. They would always encourage us to do everything. I honestly wouldn't have done my American degree if it wasn't for my teachers. I didn't think it was achievable back then.
Oh yeah. Would you say that it's probably easier now that you're out of high school to get your SAE hours done?
I think it's a little harder.
Really?
Unless for me, I think it was easier for me because my SAE was my workplace. I still worked with the Doty and Grove Show Pigs, so I could kind of just clock in that. And I still work with the fire department, which I use as an SAE, so I can clock in that. And I had my firewood business, so I could use that. But yeah, I think it was easy for me because my workplace was my SAE.
So how did you get like all of your requirements done for your American degree other than your SAE, obviously?
I think it's just hours, right? Kind of like community service. Community service is a big one.
Community service, and then so you also had like a cash requirement too.
Cash requirement, yeah. I think the major either spent on SAE was definitely my livestock. I raised 4 pigs. Junior year I raised 2, and then the second year, my senior year, I raised another 2. I spent a pretty penny on them. I spent and I'm not saying you got to spend a good amount of money on pigs, but I think if you're trying to win, you do got to spend a couple bucks. Spent like $1,000 a head, and then $750 for another one. So that's kind of what took my money, and implements, supplements, and all that.
Did you sell them?
I did sell. Yeah. I honestly I barely broke even my last year.
Really?
Yeah, I was so in it to win it, and money at one point was like, okay, it doesn't really matter. Just get it, make them better. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Was that your only SAE project, those 3, or did you have more?
No, I think at one point I had 8 running. I had for I think it was like an advanced ag. We had to have like a science project. So I had a controlled experiment of raising artichokes with using chicken manure soil and no chicken manure soil. So that was one of my projects. I worked for my brother who does land management. So that was another one. My firewood business, volunteering at the fire department, Doty and Grove Show Pigs, and then if I had pigs, and then I think that's it. So 6 that were pretty continuous.
Pretty chunky.
Yeah.
All right. So your pigs, what would you say is probably the biggest one? Your pigs, maybe?
Yeah,
Or
definitely my biggest
definitely pigs.
SAEs.
All right. What would you say that you probably learned the most from raising your pigs?
I think just how much people don't see in the process. I feel like it made me very mature because my first year, I was like, I was new to it, and around that time we had an incident of like an animal activist possibly got like into our barn, and I just learned that you gotta educate people on what this process is like because you gotta break it down like you're teaching it to a toddler. And you gotta have patience for sure. Patience is number one when it comes to livestock. Um, I think patience for sure because when you get a pig, it's really difficult to get him to be adjusted to the whip and whatnot. And then when you're at fair, you do get a couple people that are like, "Oh, why are you doing that to him?" Or "Why don't you think this is cruel?" And you just gotta have patience, respond with the answer, like, "Let me get my advisor to talk to you. I don't really feel comfortable talking to you about this." So I think patience for sure, something I learned.
All right. Do you have any future plans in ag?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. My girlfriend is involved in ag. She's wants to be an ag teacher. Bless her soul. That's a great career path. And I want to do land management and grazing. So I either want to start off maybe getting a job in land management and grazing for like maybe the United States Department of Agriculture, the Forest Service, or doing my own thing, doing my own private business and doing that. But my girlfriend and I have planned to have a ranch. Obviously, I think a lot of people have that dream, but um, she has a goal of when she's an ag teacher, she wants to have like a vineyard and she wants to have animals on her farm and a garden for her students that don't have the opportunity to have SAEs at their home. They can work on our farm and get those SAE hours and whatnot and what they need. And I think it's a great idea because I live in an apartment, and if it wasn't for the school barn, I couldn't have had my projects. I couldn't. So I think that if my ag teacher offered me that, I'd be blessed. Like that's perfect, and that's what we plan to do.
That's really nice. So right now you have a business, right? You have something in
Firewood
forestry.
business, yeah.
Firewood business. All right. So why don't you tell me a bit about that?
So I get firewood from my brother's business. A lot of people call him to remove logs that PG&E cuts and they just leave there, or tree trimming businesses, and we haul them out and then I cut them and stuff and get them processed or get them seasoned as they have to be dry, and then I sell it in my areas. Wood burning stoves is really popular in my area in Occidental, and we're close to the beach and stuff, and you get that fog. So, kind of promote like Facebook and like next door and stuff like that, and sell and get some little bit of money.
It's pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
What inspires you to continue in agriculture?
You can't live without it. You can't live without it. I mean, from the clothes to the food you eat to the infrastructure, you can't live without it. So I don't understand why there's a reason people should stop believing in agriculture, stop doing those agricultural practices. Um, yeah, I don't see a reason to not pursue something in agriculture. It's what helps us live. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who's gonna feed everyone, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what's the importance of rotational grazing practices?
I love this question. Yes, the importance of rotational grazing. The main point is when you graze a certain block or area for too long, you lose the nutrients in that soil because of how much compaction the cows make. So you rotate them. So you can graze. We call them paddocks. We do electrical fence, and we'll do a paddock with cows, and they'll graze it. We don't intensively graze at Shown Farm to the point it's just soil. We go down to like I don't know, probably until the grass is like at like 2 inches, still pretty tall, but a lot of people go down pretty deep. Like it's intense because they'll leave them there for an intense amount of time for them to get every little bit. Um, so once they graze the area that we have them in, we'll make another fence, another paddock, and then we'll move them to that one. Now they have a fresh grass to graze on, and then while they're there, we fortunately have sprinklers. So we have irrigated pastures from Windsor recycled water, which will turn on and they'll spin around and they'll help the grass grow, and then the soil there, the nutrients come back and lets the grass grow, and plus the manure of the cows helps them. So that's the main thing about rotational grazing is, and it's honestly regenerative agriculture because you're leaving the soil better than you found it. So I love that. I love that.
All right. So what is just kind of the whole premise of regenerative agriculture?
Regenerative agriculture is kind of like I said, like leaving it better than you found it. It's not only worrying about your cattle; it's worrying about what your cattle are doing, what your animals are doing, like the land. At Shone, we used to, back in the day, Shone is pretty old. They used to graze it pretty hard, and they would give the cows full access to everything. Now we have natural springs at Shone in the pastures with like native brush, like coyote brush and coffee berry and oak trees, and the cows would have full access to go into the springs and whatnot. And when cows get itchy, they'll itch on anything and break it. So we'd lose a lot of those bushes, and our natural springs would be covered up. And then the cows would go up to the barn for winter, and those springs wouldn't really have enough time to come back and kind of fix themselves. So regenerative agriculture is what we're practicing now at Shone. We have wire around all those springs and creeks so the cows can't get into it and destroy it. So we can keep that spring alive and keep it healthy and keep our native brush healthy. And yeah, and then back to our soil, we rotate so we don't have so much compaction in the soil. And we could mow stuff with tractors, but tractors will compact it more than cows. So that's kind of, yeah.
Would you say that kind of helps with like sustainable agriculture?
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
trying to keep everything sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that's about all the questions I have for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
See you, Alonso.
Yep.
Wow, what a passionate podcast Alonso just gave us. And that's what I want to see in the next episode. And I know you do too. So I'll see you guys in the next episode of The Ag Space.